Captain Kim Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the sky changed color. He stood on the observation deck of Osan Air Base, watching the sunrise paint the Korean mountains gold. Then everything went dark. Massive shadows fell across the land like giant hands blocking the sun. Tae-ho looked up and saw them. Ships. Enormous alien ships floating in the sky above Seoul, above every major city he could see on the horizon. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built, bigger than aircraft carriers, bigger than skyscrapers lying on their sides. His coffee cup fell from his hands and shattered on the concrete floor. "Sir!" Corporal Choi Hai-rim ran toward him, her face pale. "We're getting reports from all over the world. They're everywhere: New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. Hundreds of ships." Tae-ho grabbed his radio. The base was already in chaos. Soldiers ran between buildings. Fighter jets screamed overhead, but they looked like tiny insects compared to the alien vessels. "This is Captain Kim to all units." He spoke into the radio. "Battle stations. Full alert. No one fires unless fired upon. Repeat. Hold your fire until we know what we're dealing with." Dr. Park So-jin was in her laboratory at CAST when every screen in the building went white. Then words appeared. Not in Korean. Not in English, but somehow she could understand them perfectly. "People of Earth," the voice said. It came from every speaker, every phone, every device that could make sound. "We are the Vorthak Empire. Your planet now belongs to us." So-jin's hands shook as she stared at the message. Around her, other scientists had stopped working. Everyone was looking at screens, listening to the same impossible voice. "You have 72 hours to surrender," the voice continued. "Your leaders will report to our ships. Your military will lay down their weapons. If you resist, we will destroy your cities. If you comply, some of you may live to serve us." The message ended. The screens went back to normal, but nothing would ever be normal again. Lieutenant Colonel Lee Dong-woo was in a meeting at the Pentagon when the alien spoke. Every general in the room heard the same words. When the message ended, the room was silent for 10 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. "How many ships? What's their technology level? Can our missiles reach them? Are they scanning our defenses?" Dong-woo stood up. "Quiet," he shouted. Everyone stopped talking. "We need information before we make any decisions. What do we know about their capabilities?" An aide rushed in with a tablet. "Sir, preliminary reports from around the world. The ships are hovering at approximately 50,000 feet. They're not moving. They're not scanning us with any energy we can detect. They're just waiting." Dong-woo frowned. "Waiting for what? They gave us 72 hours. What are they doing for 72 hours? Back at Osan Air Base, Tae-ho assembled his best team. Hai-rim had been monitoring radio frequencies and internet traffic. What she found was strange. "Captain, the aliens aren't jamming our communications," she reported. "They're not blocking our satellites. They're not stopping our military from moving around. It's like they don't care what we do." Sergeant Yoo Ji-hoon, the base's demolitions expert, scratched his head. "That doesn't make sense. If I was invading a planet, first thing I'd do is cut their communications. Stop them from coordinating." "Maybe they think we can't hurt them," Tae-ho said slowly. "Maybe they think we're too primitive to be a threat." Major Han Sil-gi had flown, her fighter jet as close to the alien ships as she dared. When she landed, she had news. "I got within 5 kilometers of the main ship over Seoul," she told Tae-ho. "They didn't react at all. No defensive fire. No warning signals. No attempt to chase me away. I could have been a bird for all they cared." "What? Did you see? The ship's surface is smooth, no visible weapons, no windows, but there are energy readings unlike anything we've seen, and Captain..." She paused. "I fired a single missile at it. Just a test shot." Everyone in the room tensed. "What happened?" "It hit some kind of barrier about 100 meters from the ship. The missile just disappeared. Turned to nothing. But the barrier only appeared when the missile got close. Like it was automatic." "Doctor." So-jin had been thinking about the alien message all day. Something bothered her about it. She called her friend at the military. The translation was perfect, she told Dongwu over the phone. Too perfect. They spoke to every human on Earth, in their own language. That means they've been studying us for a while. How long? Long enough to learn every human language. But here's what's strange. They know our languages, but do they know how we fight? Dongwu was quiet for a moment. What do you mean? Think about it. If they've been watching us, what would they see? Our movies, our TV shows, our internet. They'd see our most advanced weapons. They'd see our missiles, our jets, our nuclear bombs. But would they see a soldier with a knife? Would they see someone throwing a rock? You think they've prepared for our advanced weapons but not our basic ones? I think, Sojin said carefully, they might have prepared for the wrong kind of war. As night fell on the first day, Taeho stood on the base again. The alien ships glowed softly in the darkness above every city. Inside those ships, he knew creatures from another world were planning to conquer Earth. But something felt wrong about the whole situation. The aliens had superior technology. They had surprised the entire planet. They had humanity completely outgunned. So why wait 72 hours? Why give humans time to prepare? Hiram joined him on the observation deck. Captain, I've been monitoring their ships. They're not just waiting, they're communicating with each other. A lot, like they're discussing something. What kind of discussions? I can't understand the language, but the frequency of messages increased after Major Selji's attack. It's like they're confused about something. Taeho nodded slowly. They expected us to surrender immediately. When we didn't, when Selji actually fired at them, it surprised them. What does that mean for us? Taeho looked up at the alien ships. It means they don't know us as well as they think they do, and that might be the only advantage we have. He turned to Hiram. Get me a secure line to every military base in Mao, the country. Then connect me to the Pentagon. We have 60 hours left, and I have an idea. The first day of the invasion was ending, but for humanity, the real fight was about to begin. The 72 hours ended at exactly noon, Korean time. Taeho watched the clock on the base command center wall tick to 12 Lao. Around the world, every human who could find a clock or a phone was probably doing the same thing. Nothing happened for 5 minutes. Then the sky lit up. The alien ship above Seoul fired a bright blue beam downward. It struck the ground about 50 kilometers south of the city. The light was so bright that people in the capital could see it clearly. The ground shook. A mushroom cloud rose into the air. But something was wrong. Taeho had been expecting them to hit the city center, or the presidential palace, or the main military headquarters. Instead, they had hit an empty mountain. Hiram, what's at those coordinates? He asked. She checked her computer. It's the old Tunnel 3 facility, sir, built during the Cold War. It was abandoned 20 years ago. Taeho felt a cold smile cross his face. Not abandoned. We've been using it as a decoy site. Colonel Dongwu's idea. We filled it with fake equipment and fake signals to make it look like our main command center. They hit a fake target. They hit exactly what we wanted them to hit. Around the world, the same thing was happening. The aliens were striking what they thought were major military targets. But human intelligence had been busy for 3 days. Every fake signal, every piece of false information that could be planted had been planted. In underground bunkers, real military commanders watched as the aliens wasted their first strikes on empty buildings and abandoned facilities. Dr. So Jin was in one of those bunkers deep under cased. She had spent 3 days working nonstop, and now she had something to show the military. The energy readings from their attack confirm my theory, she told the room full of generals and scientists. Their weapons are pure energy, plasma-based, incredibly advanced. But look at this. She pointed to readings on her screen. Their defensive barrier that stopped Major Solji's missile. It's designed to stop energy weapons and explosive warheads. But it only activates when it detects certain types of incoming threats. What types? Asked a general. Energy signatures. Heat signatures from rocket fuel. Electronic guidance systems. Everything that makes a modern missile work. What about things that don't have those signatures? So Jin smiled. That's what we need to test. Sergeant Ji-hoon was already testing it. While the aliens were bombing fake targets, he was crawling through a forest near Seoul with a simple device. It wasn't electronic. It didn't use any fuel. It didn't give off heat signatures. It was a crossbow, an old-fashioned medieval crossbow that his grandfather had used for hunting. He got within 200 meters of a small alien scout ship that had landed to examine the bombed site. The ship was about the size of a bus sitting in a clearing. He could see strange lights moving around it. Aliens walking around their ship. Ji-hoon loaded a simple steel bolt into the crossbow. No explosives, no electronics, just a sharp piece of metal. He aimed and fired. The bolt flew through the air and struck the alien ship's hull. There was no energy barrier, no defense system. The bolt hit the metal and stuck. Nothing else happened, but Ji-hoon smiled. The bolt had touched the ship. Their defenses hadn't stopped it. He loaded another bolt, this time with a small explosive charge. The kind of simple bomb that miners used to break rocks. No electronic parts, just chemicals and a timer. This bolt also passed through their defenses and stuck to the ship's hull. 5 seconds later, it exploded. The blast wasn't large, but it tore a hole in the alien ship's side. Alarms started blaring from inside the vessel. The aliens outside ran toward their ship, but Ji-hoon was already gone. That night, every military force on Earth received the same message. Simple weapons work. Old weapons work. Anything without advanced electronics could pass through alien defenses. Major Sulgi was getting ready for the most dangerous mission of her life. She sat in a fighter jet that had been modified in ways that would have seemed insane a week ago. All the electronic systems had been removed. The guidance computer, the radar, the missile targeting system. Everything was gone. In their place were simple mechanical instruments, the kind of gauges that had been used in World War II. The missiles under her wings were old ones from storage, dumb missiles with no guidance systems. Point and shoot, just like throwing a rock. "This is crazy," her wingman said over the radio. "We can't hit anything without our targeting computers." "We don't need to hit anything precisely," Sulgi replied. "We just need to hit something big, and those alien ships are very big." She took off just as the sun was setting. Around the world, other pilots were doing the same thing. Old planes, with old weapons flying toward alien ships that had shields designed for the wrong kind of war. Sulgi flew her modified jet straight at the alien cruiser above Seoul. No fancy maneuvers, no electronic jamming, just a simple, direct attack that the aliens had probably stopped seeing in their wars 1,000 years ago. The alien ship's weapons tried to lock onto her jet, but her engines weren't giving off the right kind of heat signature. Her hull wasn't made of the materials they expected. Their targeting systems couldn't get a lock. She fired 4 missiles at the massive ship. Simple, stupid missiles that flew straight and exploded on impact. All 4 hit the alien cruiser's hull. The explosions were small compared to the size of the ship, but something important happened. The alien ship's lights flickered. It tilted slightly in the air, and for the first time since they had arrived, an alien ship moved away from a human attack. Taeho was coordinating attacks from his base when he got the call that changed everything. "Captain, this is Recon Team 7. We've found something you need to see." "What is it?" "A crashed alien scout ship, sir, about 10 kilometers from the decoy site they bombed. It looks like it made an emergency landing." "Any survivors?" "Yes, sir. But that's not the strange part. The strange part is how they're acting." Taeho grabbed his gear and drove to the crash site with a small team. What he found there was the most important discovery of the war. The alien ship had crashed in a rice field. It was small, about the size of a car, and badly damaged. Through a crack in the hull, they could see inside. 2 aliens sat at what looked like control stations. They were about as tall as humans, but thinner, with gray skin and large black eyes. They were clearly alive, but seemed to be in shock. But what made Taeho stare was what they were doing. One alien was holding something that looked like a tablet. On the screen were images. Pictures of human weapons, but not modern weapons. The screen showed pictures of swords, spears, bows and arrows, and other ancient weapons. The aliens were frantically scrolling through what looked like a database of primitive human technology. "They're trying to figure out how to fight us," Hiram whispered. "No," Taeho said slowly. They're trying to remember how to fight us. Look at those pictures. Those weapons are thousands of years old. When was the last time these aliens fought someone who used simple weapons? One of the aliens noticed the humans watching and said something in their language. The other alien touched a device and suddenly Taeho could understand them. The database has no recent information on kinetic projectile warfare, the first alien was saying. The last records are from the primitive campaigns, over 800 years ago. Contact command, the second alien replied. Tell them the UAE. Humans are using pre-technology warfare. We need the old defense protocols. Taeho smiled grimly. These aliens had conquered so many advanced civilizations that they had forgotten how to fight a primitive one. He spoke into his radio. This is Captain Kim to all forces. The aliens have a weakness. They've forgotten how to fight the old way. Break out every simple weapon we have. Crossbows, swords, simple explosives, anything our grandfathers would recognize. Around the world, the message spread. In military bases, soldiers opened storage rooms that hadn't been used in decades. In museums, curators unlocked displays of ancient weapons. In sporting goods stores, people grabbed hunting bows and simple tools. Humanity was about to fight the most advanced war in history using the oldest weapons they could find. And for the first time since the aliens arrived, the humans were smiling. The war changed overnight. Around the world, humans dug into their past to fight for their future. In Korea, Taeho watched as his soldiers practiced with weapons their ancestors had used centuries ago. It feels crazy, Ji-hoon said, strapping a sword to his belt next to his assault rifle. But crazy seems to be working. Reports were coming in from everywhere. A group of farmers in Vietnam had used bamboo spears to bring down an alien patrol. Aboriginal hunters in Australia were taking out alien scouts with traditional boomerangs. In Scotland, someone had actually used a medieval catapult to damage an alien landing craft. The aliens were confused. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they were losing to what they considered primitive weapons. Dr. So-jin had moved her laboratory to a hidden cave system outside Seoul. There, she was working on the most important project of her life. In front of her lay pieces of the crashed alien scout ship. The power source is incredible, she told her assistant. It generates more energy than our best nuclear reactors, but it's only the size of a briefcase. Can we use it? I think so, but not the way they do. They use it to power energy weapons and shields. We're going to use it to power something much simpler. She pointed to plans on her table. A railgun. Old technology, but with their power source, we can make it fire projectiles at incredible speeds. Simple metal bullets powered by alien energy. Will their shields stop it? Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and explosive missiles. A simple piece of metal moving very fast. I don't think they've seen that in centuries. Major Solji was preparing for her most dangerous mission yet. Her fighter jet had been further modified. The alien power core that So-jin had provided was connected to a simple railgun mounted under the aircraft. Remember, Taeho told her over the radio, you only get one shot. After that, every alien ship in the area will know what we're capable. For understood, Captain. One shot, one kill. She flew toward the largest alien ship over Seoul. It was massive, easily a kilometer long. Dozens of smaller ships surrounded it like guards. The aliens had learned to be more careful after the earlier attacks. Their ships moved now, trying to avoid the simple weapons that humans kept firing at them. But they still couldn't understand how primitive projectiles were getting through their advanced defenses. Solji lined up her shot carefully. The railgun didn't have electronic targeting, so she had to aim manually. The alien ship was big, but hitting a specific part of it would be difficult. She didn't need to hit a specific part. She just needed to prove a point. She fired. The metal projectile left the railgun at a speed that made bullets look slow. It covered the distance to the alien ship in less than a second. The alien shields didn't activate. The projectile punched through the ship's hull like paper, traveled the entire length of the vessel, and came out the other side. For a moment, nothing happened. Then explosions began inside the alien ship. Secondary blasts lit up the hull from within. The massive vessel tilted, smoking and sparking. And then, For the first time since the invasion began, an alien mothership retreated. It turned away from the city and began moving toward space. The other alien ships followed. Commander Xylex stood in the bridge of his command ship, staring at damage reports that made no sense. 3 of his cruisers had been severely damaged. 2 scout ships had been destroyed. A mothership had been forced to retreat, all by weapons that his computers classified as pre-technology level. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving requests for reinforcements from all sectors. The humans are using projectile weapons that our shields cannot stop." "Impossible," Xylex replied. "We conquered the Kepler Union and they had kinetic weapons. Our shields stopped everything they had." "Yes, sir, but the Kepler Union used electromagnetic acceleration and guided projectiles. These humans are using simple chemical propulsion and unguided projectiles. Our shields don't recognize them as threats." Xylex looked at the tactical display. Red markers showed damaged or destroyed Vorthak vessels across the planet. "How many species have we conquered in the last 1,000 years?" 437, sir. "How many of them used primitive kinetic weapons?" The communications officer checked his records. "None, sir. The last species to use pre-technology weapons was conquered 812 years ago." Xylex felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: doubt. "Send a message to High Command. Request immediate reinforcements and combat data on primitive warfare tactics." Admiral Kang Min-ho commanded South Korea's submarine fleet from a hidden base beneath the Yellow Sea. His submarines were old, but they had one advantage over modern vessels. They were simple enough to be invisible to alien sensors. "All submarines, prepare for coordinated attack," he spoke into his communicator. "Target the alien underwater mining operations." The aliens had begun extracting minerals from Earth's ocean floor. Their underwater facilities were protected by the same energy shields that defended their spaceships. But those shields had the same weakness as all alien technology. Min-ho's submarines fired simple torpedoes, old-fashioned explosive devices with no electronic guidance. The aliens' underwater sensors couldn't track them properly because they didn't emit the energy signatures that modern weapons used. 6 alien underwater facilities were destroyed in the first attack. The aliens began pulling their mining operations back from Earth's oceans. In factories around the world, humans were working day and night to mass-produce simple weapons. Engineer Baek Yeonju had converted her electronics factory to make something much different. "Railguns," she told the workers. "Simple railguns using alien power cores. We strip out every electronic component except the basic firing mechanism." "How many can we make?" asked her foreman. "If we work around the clock, maybe 50 per day. It's not many, but each one can punch through their biggest ships." Hiram had been busy too. She had figured out how to use the aliens' own communication system against them. "I'm broadcasting false information into their network," she told Taeho. "Fake reports about human weapons. I'm making them think we have much more advanced primitive weapons than we actually do." "What kind of fake reports?" "I told them we have kinetic weapons that can fire projectiles at light speed, and that we have primitive nuclear catapults that can launch atomic warheads using mechanical force." "Do we have any of those things?" "Of course not. But they don't know that. They're redesigning their shields to stop weapons that don't exist. Meanwhile, our simple bullets and arrows keep working." The turning point came when humans began working together in ways the aliens couldn't understand. In Seoul, a combined force of Korean soldiers, Japanese martial artists, and American engineers attacked the main alien base. They used no electronic communication. Instead, they coordinated using simple flags and hand signals. They approached the base using bicycles and on foot, making no engine noise that alien sensors could detect. Their weapons were a mixture of old and new. Ancient swords powered by alien energy cores, crossbows that fired steel bolts at impossible speeds, catapults that launched simple explosives with devastating accuracy. The alien base was defended by the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. But the defenders had no experience fighting an enemy that attacked with medieval tactics and modern materials. The base fell in 4 hours. That night, Taeho stood in the ruins of the alien facility. Around him, soldiers from a dozen countries were examining captured alien technology. But what impressed him most wasn't the advanced equipment. It was the look of fear in the aliens' eyes when they surrendered. "They're scared of us," Ji-hoon said, reading his captain's mind. "They should be," Tae-ho replied. "They came here expecting to fight the humans they saw in our movies and television. Advanced weapons, energy shields, space battles. Instead, they found us with swords and arrows." "Exactly, and they have no idea how to fight us." Tae-ho looked up at the alien ships that still filled the sky above Seoul. But there were fewer of them now, and they were flying higher, staying further away from the city. "Sir?" Hyarim approached with her communication equipment. "I'm intercepting. Alien transmissions, they're calling for massive reinforcements." "How massive?" "It sounds like they're bringing their entire battle fleet to Earth." Tae-ho nodded grimly. "Then we better get ready, because when they arrive, they're going to find out that humans fight dirtier than they ever imagined." Around the world, the message went out. More aliens were coming, but humanity was no longer the same species that had cowered under alien ships just days before. They had remembered how to be warriors, and they were getting very good at it. The alien reinforcement fleet arrived like a dark cloud covering half the sky. Ships beyond counting emerged from hyperspace, so many that they blocked out the sun over entire continents. Commander Xylex had called for help, and the Vorthak Empire had sent their full military might. But Earth was not the same planet they had left. Tae-ho stood on Seoul's highest building, watching the alien armada assemble above the city. Beside him, his team had grown. Soldiers from every nation on Earth had come to learn from the Korean forces that had first discovered how to fight the aliens. "How many ships?" Solji asked, squinting at the massive fleet. "Too many to count," Dongwoo replied. He had flown in from Washington to coordinate the global defense, but numbers don't matter if they don't know how to use them. Dr. So-jin's voice crackled over their radio from her hidden laboratory. "I've got news about the reinforcements. I've been analyzing their energy signatures. These new ships have upgraded shields." "Upgraded how?" Tae-ho asked. "They've modified their defenses to stop some kinetic projectiles. Simple bullets might not work anymore." "Might not. Their computers are trying to guess what weapons we'll use based on their old databases. But they're guessing wrong. They're protecting against medieval weapons from 800 years ago." Ji-hoon grinned. "So we just need to use weapons they haven't seen for 900 years. Or weapons they've never seen at all," So-jin replied. "I've been working on something special, in hidden factories around the world. Baek Yeonju and thousands of other engineers had been busy. The new weapons rolling off production lines looked like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They were railguns, but not like any that had existed before. They used alien power cores but were controlled by purely mechanical systems. Some fired simple steel rods. Others launched more creative projectiles. "What's in this one?" a worker asked, loading a strange projectile into a railgun. "Ball bearings," Yeonju replied. "Thousands of tiny steel balls fired at incredible speed, like a giant shotgun. And this one? That one fires a net made of metal wire. If it wraps around an alien ship's engines, they'll have to cut it off manually. And this?" Yeonju smiled. "That one fires a bucket of paint." "Paint? If you can't see where you're going, you can't fly very well. And their energy weapons can't. Remove simple paint." The first test of the new weapons came when alien ships began landing in major cities. Unlike their earlier careful approach, the reinforcement fleet was trying to establish bases through overwhelming force. A massive alien transport landed in the center of Tokyo. It was the size of a city block and heavily armored. Hundreds of alien soldiers poured out, armed with energy weapons and protected by personal shields. They were met by a combined force of Japanese, Korean, and American soldiers, armed with the strangest weapons any army had ever carried. The battle was unlike anything in military history. Human soldiers charged the aliens with swords that hummed with electric power from alien energy cores. The alien personal shields stopped energy weapons, but they couldn't stop a blade moving at normal speed. Other humans fired crossbows that launched bolts made from alien metal. The bolts were programmed to change direction after being fired, but they used simple mechanical gyroscopes instead of electronics. Still others used weapons that would have made their ancestors proud. Catapults launched containers of sticky foam that gummed up alien equipment. Giant slingshots fired nets that tangled alien vehicles. The alien soldiers had trained for thousands of different combat scenarios. None of their training had prepared them for fighting an army that attacked with powered medieval weapons. The Tokyo base fell in 6 hours. Admiral Minho had moved his submarine operations to space. His boats had been modified with alien technology, but they still operated on simple principles that alien sensors couldn't track properly. All submarines, prepare for orbital assault, he commanded from his flagship. The submarines rose from Earth's oceans like metal whales breaching the surface, but instead of diving back down, they continued rising, carried by alien anti-gravity systems that human engineers had rewired. They were still submarines, designed for underwater warfare, but now they were fighting in the ocean of space. Minho's fleet attacked the alien ships using torpedo tactics that had been perfected in World War II. Simple, direct attacks that relied on surprise and overwhelming force, rather than advanced technology. Fire tubes 1 through 6, Minho ordered. The torpedoes that launched from his submarine were not like any torpedoes ever built. They were powered by alien engines but guided by mechanical systems. They moved through space like fish through water, following simple programmed paths that couldn't be jammed or redirected. An alien cruiser exploded as 6 torpedoes struck its hull simultaneously. The alien ship's shields had been designed to stop guided missiles, not unguided projectiles that followed simple mathematical paths. Commander Xylex watched his fleet take damage from weapons that his computers insisted were impossible. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the humans are using kinetic projectiles with alien power sources. Our shields recognize the energy signatures and try to stop them with anti-energy protocols. But the projectiles themselves are simple metal. So our shields are fighting the wrong part of their weapons?" "Yes, sir. It's like trying to stop a sword by blocking the sword handle instead of the blade." Xylex studied the tactical display. Red markers showed dozens of damaged ships. "What about their space vessels? Can we at least understand those?" "Sir, they appear to be using modified underwater vehicles. Our sensors keep classifying them as submarines, but they're operating in space." "Submarines? In space?" "Yes, sir. They're using underwater warfare tactics against our orbital fleet." Xylex closed his eyes. In 800 years of conquest, he had never encountered an enemy this confusing. The war's most important battle began when humans learned to board alien ships. Silgi led the first successful boarding operation, but not in the way anyone expected. Her modified fighter jet didn't dock with the alien cruiser. Instead, it crashed into the ship's docking bay, deliberately sacrificing the aircraft to get soldiers inside the alien vessel. Silgi and her team emerged from the wreckage wearing simple armor and carrying weapons that looked like they belonged in a museum. But the weapons hummed with alien energy. "Remember," she told her team over a simple radio system that the aliens couldn't jam, "their personal shields stop energy weapons, but they don't stop a blade or a bullet moving at normal speed." The aliens inside their own ship had every advantage. They knew the layout, they had defensive positions, and they outnumbered the humans 3-1. But they had never fought an enemy that used sword techniques in spacecraft corridors. Solji's team moved through the alien ship like ghosts. They used martial arts that were thousands of years old, but their weapons were powered by technology from the future. They cut through alien defenses like a knife through paper. The alien crew surrendered after 30 minutes. Around the world, similar boarding operations were succeeding. Humans were capturing alien ships by using tactics that the Vorthak Empire had forgotten existed. Dr. Sojin made the breakthrough that changed everything. In her hidden laboratory, she had been working with captured alien computers. "I've figured out how their command system works," she told Tejo over their secure communication link. "All their ships are controlled by a central artificial intelligence. It makes tactical decisions for the entire fleet." "Can you hack it?" "Better than that. I can confuse it." "How?" "The AI makes decisions based on patterns it recognizes. But we're not following any patterns it understands. Every time it tries to predict what we'll do next, we do something different. So we keep being unpredictable?" Exactly. But I have a better idea. What if we feed it false information? Make it think we're doing one thing while we're actually doing something else? That night, Sojin's plan went into action. Using captured alien communication equipment, she began broadcasting fake signals into the alien command network. The alien AI received reports of massive human fleets that didn't exist. It got information about human weapons that were pure fiction. Most importantly, it was told that humans were planning a major attack on the alien homeworld. The artificial intelligence did what it was programmed to do. It began moving ships to defend against threats that weren't real. Half the alien fleet left Earth to protect their home planet from an invasion that would never come. Tejo watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. For the first time, since the invasion began, there were more human aircraft in Earth's sky than alien vessels. Phase 2 begins now, he announced to military commanders around the world. What's Phase 2? Ji-hoon asked. Tejo smiled grimly. We stopped playing defense. It's time to hunt them down. In orbit around Earth, the remaining alien ships found themselves being stalked by human forces that seemed to appear from nowhere and disappear just as quickly. Submarines attacked from impossible angles. Fighter jets used kamikaze tactics that no rational species would attempt. Ground forces captured alien bases using siege warfare techniques from the Middle Ages, and through it all, the aliens couldn't understand what they were fighting. They had come to conquer a primitive planet. Instead, they found themselves in a war against. 6 months after the aliens first arrived, Commander Xylek stood in the ruins of his command ship, watching his empire crumble. Through the broken viewports, he could see human spacecraft patrolling Earth's orbit. Ships built from captured alien technology but operated with human tactics that his people still couldn't understand. Sir, his communications officer said, her voice shaking. We've lost contact with the home fleet. Lost contact how? The humans. They followed our ships through hyperspace. They're attacking our home system. Xylex felt something break inside him. In 1,000 years of conquest, no enemy had ever been able to threaten the Vorthak homeworld. How is that possible? They don't have hyperspace technology. They're using our own ships, sir, but they've modified them with their primitive weapons. Our defense fleets can't stop simple projectiles fired at hyperspace velocities. Captain Tejo was indeed in the Vorthak home system, commanding a fleet of captured alien ships that had been converted into the strangest warships the galaxy had ever seen. His flagship was a former Vorthak cruiser, but every weapon on it had been replaced with railguns and kinetic projectile systems. The ship's hull was covered with steel armor plating that the humans had welded on by hand. Target their orbital defense platforms, he commanded. Use the catapult ships. 3 modified alien vessels moved forward. The humans had removed their energy weapons and installed massive mechanical catapults that could launch payloads across space. The payloads looked primitive compared to alien technology, but they were devastatingly effective. Each catapult launched a simple steel container, filled with ball bearings. When the containers hit the alien defense platforms, they exploded like giant shotgun blasts, shredding the sophisticated alien equipment with thousands of simple metal balls. The Vorthak home fleet tried to respond, but their tactics were useless against human unpredictability. Admiral Minho's space submarines appeared from behind asteroids, firing torpedoes that followed ballistic paths instead of guided trajectories. Major Sulji led fighter squadrons that used ramming attacks. No sane pilot would attempt. Dr. Sojin had worked her greatest magic on the alien command systems. Every time the Vorthak AI tried to coordinate a defense, she fed it false information that sent their ships to the wrong locations. Their entire military doctrine is based on energy weapons and shields, she explained to Tejo over the communication system. They've forgotten how to fight kinetic warfare. It's like bringing laser guns to a sword fight. The final battle for Earth took place in Antarctica, where the aliens had built their largest base. It was a fortress that covered hundreds of square kilometers, protected by energy barriers and defended by the most advanced weapons in the Vorthak arsenal. Tejo led the assault personally, commanding a combined force that included soldiers from every nation on Earth. But the attack didn't look like anything from a science fiction movie. Instead of advanced aircraft and energy weapons, the human army approached the alien base using sleds pulled by dogs. They wore simple winter clothing and carried weapons that their great-grandfathers would have recognized. Remember, Tejo told his troops as they prepared for the final assault. Their sensors are designed to detect advanced technology. They can't track wooden sleds and metal swords. The alien base's defensive systems were magnificent. Automated energy turrets that could vaporize aircraft, force fields that could stop missiles, scanners that could detect approaching enemies from hundreds of kilometers away. None of it detected the human army until they were already inside the perimeter. Sergeant Ji-hoon led the demolition team that planted explosives throughout the base. But these weren't advanced alien explosives or sophisticated human bombs. They were simple charges made from fertilizer and fuel oil, the kind of explosives that farmers had used for generations. The alien computers didn't recognize them as weapons. Engineer Baek Yeon-ju had brought her greatest creation to the final battle. It was a railgun the size of a building, powered by alien energy cores but controlled by mechanical systems that were older than spaceflight. "What are you shooting at them?" Ji-hoon asked as she prepared to fire. "A telephone pole," Yeon-ju replied. "Simple wood and metal accelerated to incredible speed. That's insane. That's why it will work." The railgun fired, launching the telephone pole at a significant fraction of light speed. It punched through the alien base's energy shields as if they weren't there, traveled the entire length of the I facility, and emerged from the other side. The base's power systems failed. Emergency lights flickered on, and for the first time since the invasion began, alien soldiers began surrendering en masse. Commander Xilex was among the prisoners captured at the Antarctic base. As he was led away by human soldiers carrying swords and rifles, he asked the question that had been haunting him for months. "Why do you fight this way?" he asked Tejo. "You have our technology now. You could build energy weapons. Why do you still use primitive projectiles?" Tejo considered the question. "Because primitive works. Your people spent so long fighting advanced civilizations that you forgot the basics. You prepared for the war you expected, not the war we gave you. But surely you'll upgrade your weapons now. Build energy systems like ours. Some of them, yes. But we'll keep the simple ones too, because the next enemy we meet might make the same mistake you did." Xilex was quiet for a moment, then he asked, "What happens to us now?" "You go home," Tejo said simply. "All of you, back to your own planets, and you tell everyone what happened here." "You're not going to conquer us?" Tejo laughed. "We never wanted to conquer anyone. We just wanted you to leave us alone." The last alien ship left Earth's orbit on a cold morning in February. Hiram tracked it on her communication equipment until it disappeared into hyperspace. "That's the last of them," she reported to Tejo. "Good. Any final transmissions?" "Yes, sir. Commander Xilex sent a message to something called the Galactic Council." "What did he say?" Hiram read from her screen. "Warning to all Vorthak forces and allied species. Avoid the third planet of the Sol system at all costs. The species there has weaponized primitivism. They fight with pre-technology kinetic weapons that our defenses cannot stop. They use tactics that predate energy warfare by thousands of years. They turn our own technology against us using methods we don't understand. Recommend immediate classification as Galactic Threat Level Maximum." Tejo nodded. That should keep other aliens away for a while. But Dr. So-jin had different news. "Actually, Captain, I don't think it will." "Why not?" "I've been monitoring galactic communications. Xilex's message wasn't received as a warning. Other species are treating it as a challenge." "What do you mean?" "They want to test their own forces against the species that defeated the Vorthak Empire. We're about to become very popular." Tejo looked up at the sky where alien ships had floated for 6 months. Now there were human ships up there, built from captured alien technology, but operated with human ingenuity. "Let them come," he said, quietly. "We'll be ready." Ji-hoon checked his equipment. His sword was sharp, his crossbow was loaded, and his simple explosives were armed. "Should we build more advanced weapons? Energy shields and plasma guns?" We'll build some, Tejo replied. But we'll keep the simple ones too, because the next aliens who come here will probably make the same mistake the Vorthak did. What mistake was that? They'll prepare for the last war instead of the next one. 1 year later, Earth had changed. Humans had spread to other planets, using captured alien ships. They had established colonies throughout the solar system, and they had begun exploring beyond, carrying their strange mixture of primitive and advanced technology to the stars. But on Earth, in a small museum in Seoul, visitors could see the weapons that had saved humanity. A simple crossbow, a steel sword, a wooden catapult, and a telephone pole with a small plaque that read, "Fired at light speed to destroy an alien fortress." Children would laugh at the primitive weapons, not understanding how they had defeated the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Their parents knew better. They remembered when the sky was full of alien ships, and humans had to fight with weapons their ancestors would have recognized, and in military academies around the world, young soldiers learned the lesson that had saved humanity. The best weapon is often the one your enemy doesn't expect. Commander Xylex's final report to the Galactic Council ended with a warning that would echo across the galaxy for centuries. The humans of Earth are not just dangerous because of their technology. They are dangerous because they think differently than any species we have encountered. They do not fight the way rational beings fight. They adapt faster than we can respond. They turn our strengths into weaknesses and our advantages into vulnerabilities. Most importantly, they fight like the universe owes them something. Avoid Earth. Avoid humanity. They are not just another species to be conquered. They are something else entirely. But by then, human ships were already spreading across the galaxy, carrying a simple message to any species that would listen. We come in peace. But if you bring us war, we'll show you how humans fight. And in the depths of space, other alien civilizations received that message and had to make a choice. Most chose peace. The smart ones did anyway.